All right, so welcome to another episode of Walker Talk. We're talking about all things Walking Dead and some new stuff from this week. So I'm back with Shane. Shane, welcome back to the show.
Hey,
And so it's been a couple weeks, I think, right? That
yeah,
yeah, that you've been
haven't
here.
been.
But yeah, and so you we discussed, I guess, like through chat and video last week, I guess, a little bit on some stuff. But yeah, so some cool stuff coming this week. And the we got the teaser trailer that came out a couple days ago, and some new art and a bunch of other stuff like that. So we'll talk about all those things there, and then we'll wrap it up. So first of all, though, because you weren't here last week, a couple big things happening. First, which were the Dwight crossover to Fear the Walking Dead. So that was a big one. And what are your thoughts on that one?
I really like Dwight going to Fear the Walking Dead. I think that might be a good place for like characters not being used to go to like Heath, Dwight, Morgan went there. I think it'll be a good time, and I'm excited to see how they introduce him into that show.
Yeah, it was kind of like a big announcement, and I liked how we talked about exactly something like that, or at least with Dwight, right, returning to the main series. We kind of theorized about kind of a spin-off for him, possibly, right, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And then it ends up that that he goes to Fear, which was a bit unexpected to me. I don't know, like,
yeah, me too.
was this a yeah? So this was a surprise to you as well. Yeah. So I mean, crazy stuff, and we'll have to see how he gets integrated into that show as well. How big of a part he plays. I would assume. Do you think that he'll probably be a series regular then going forward?
Yeah, I think they just killed off a lot of their main cast. So I'm sure they're looking for some new talent to bring into the fold.
That's true. Yeah. When I was reading the comic.com article last week about the crossover, and they were talking about how they only have, I think it's four original cast members, and by original they mean like from season, I think it was season 2 or something, like not even
Yeah,
from season 1,
yeah,
because they got Alicia Denham Carey, and Coleman Domingo. Who else do we have? Lenny James was one of the original ones that they talked about. So, and he only came in last season,
huh.
which is
Yeah. I think the Mexican older man. I think he might still be alive. Hopefully,
yeah. Is that Coleman Domingo?
it might be.
I
It might
think
be.
I think it is. Yeah. Um, yeah, and then and who is the other one of the characters who is, I think, introduced as well in season 3 is still around in Fear. So, yeah, crazy stuff. I mean, we're gonna have to see. Well, and especially like Nick died in season 4. Same with Madison too. So those were
Yeah.
two big characters that kind of went away with this current season. And so yeah, and we'll have to see how Dwight gets integrated into that. But I agree. I think he definitely will be a series regular. And kind of be featured as such, going forward in that one, which he deserves
Mhm.
to be, right?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's a good character, and my whole thing was that I think they're gonna spend probably, I would say, an episode, probably telling us how he got there, right? Coming back, especially if we know how he kind of goes out in The Walking Dead. And so I think they're definitely going to spend some time, like we talked about with the spin-off stuff, talking about how he gets there, how he gets back to that, and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So another thing that was in that article, which I found like really interesting, that wasn't confirmed before, is that Fear the Walking Dead is not going to catch up to The Walking Dead with
Again.
again with season 5. So they in the article it was confirmed that they're going to keep their same timeline. So that's interesting there, and we'll have to see then, because then Dwight is only gone for what, about a year and a half.
Yeah, somewhere around there, year and a half, 2 years maybe.
Yeah, something like that. And so that's interesting too, and then so we'll have to see. So there's still a possibility then that he will return to the main show
Yeah.
around this time. right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Which is interesting. I didn't see a lot of people talking about that, but I thought that was a pretty big deal that they confirmed that they were sticking to their timeline. So,
Yeah.
anyways, all right. So that's the crossover to Fear there with Dwight. The next thing I wanted to ask you before we get into the stuff is your favorite moment / worst moment of 2018 with The Walking Dead. So I counted down a couple of mine last week. So what are yours?
My favorite moment's probably the announcement of the Rick Grimes movies because it just
Yeah.
expands the universe more, and it pretty much opened the door because now we're getting Breaking Bad movies. So that's
Oh,
probably my favorite, and my least favorite is probably the way Maggie left the show because it was kind of a crappy way to treat a long-standing character, I guess.
yeah, that was definitely tough. I think for one of my favorite moments, obviously, well, was the Rick Grimes episode, right?
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
that. Yeah, that's a good one. And then I think my worst moment was I said when it was announced at Comic Con that Andrew Lincoln was leaving. Uh, was my worst moment. So it's kind of funny, kind of ironic how that worked out. That my favorite moment was actually him leaving. But the way that all worked out was really great.
Yeah,
Quickly about that episode, by the way, it was announced too. We're not going to talk about it, but it was announced too that Steven Yeun, they actually wanted him to come back in Sasha's place, but an
yeah.
article came out saying that Steven Yeun, like that was the plan, but scheduling conflicts got in the way, and he was like, I guess filming this movie. He's been nominated for supporting actor, now and a bunch of
He's been in a lot of movies lately. Yeah,
yeah, at this Critics Awards, he's won supporting actor. So he's doing really great right now. So I think he was off filming that movie, and that's why
yeah.
he couldn't come back to it. So it's interesting because both of us agreed that the Sasha choice was a little bit, they could have had
Hmm.
someone better.
Yeah,
And so that's kind of explains it there. So probably Sasha was probably their second, maybe even third pick there for that
yeah,
scene. But it's still good that Sonequa Martin Green came back because she has Star Trek Discovery going on right now,
yeah.
and all that stuff. So yeah, it was good. It was just I think all of us expected a little bit more from it. With a different character. But anyways, so that out of the way, let's get in then to first off the teaser trailer, the new one that was released by AMC. I believe it was 2 days ago. And really, really great. So this is pretty much the second teaser, but I would say kind of the first real one. The other one with Alpha that I talked about a couple weeks ago with her. Have you seen that one where she's like putting on the mask?
Yeah, I did. I do think I saw that on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, and she's kind of like stitching it up and stuff.
Uh-huh.
The music is like the best part of it. But anyways, that one I feel like was just kind of a quick one. Like I think it was like 20 something seconds, a little bit. But this one actually showed us some like quite a lot within. I think it was about 40 seconds long.
Yeah.
So the title of the teaser was called Point of View, and the description is the Whisperers are creeping in. So of course the whole thing then is based around the point of view, how the Whisperers are watching them. And so first off, so what are your thoughts of this trailer and what they showed us in this one?
I thought it was a cool trailer. I thought it was really cool that they showed the whole thing from the Whisperer's perspective. Like you see the camera like in a bush watching the
Yeah.
hilltop. You see like Daryl and Michonne walking, and of course, I loved seeing the Whisperers gather up, and you just see Ryan Hurst tower over everyone else because he's like, sick. But I'm very excited to see what they do with the Whisperers now.
Yeah, I really did like it. I think speaking to what you said about how the Whisperers were watching it, I liked how they did. It was kind of a circle, and they had like a bunch of black kind of surrounding this circle that we were seeing.
Yeah,
When they switched around like the perspective stuff, so that was really great. I did like the ending where the kind of group of them are all saying they do not belong here, right, kind of repeating what we heard in the mid-season finale when Jesus was killed. So I feel like that's going to be an iconic line now going forward in the rest of the season. So, yeah, and you're right about Beta. That he looks really awesome.
yeah,
Ryan Hurst is Beta, and then Samantha Morton is Alpha. We talked briefly before the show about in the comic books, Alpha looks a little bit different than that. to, a little bit taller, maybe skinnier, I guess, a little bit. But anyways, I think she looks great with the way that they have her looking in there. So this was the first, official look at Alpha and Beta together, which was nice. And then my question is, though, do you think this is real footage from the mid-season premiere, or do you think this is just, like, that they put this together for an advertisement?
I think the Whispers gathering might be actual footage, but I think them like watching Daryl and them, I think that might just be like teaser footage for trailers and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's hard to tell because to me, I mean, like for an advertisement, it's kind of hard to believe that they would get Norman Reedus, Denai Guerrero, and all them to just together to film this for an advertisement. So in that sense, I think it's a little bit. That's why I think it might be in the episode, but yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, because all the other stuff that they've released so far has not been episode content. It's just been like a bunch of those social media like videos and GIFs, I guess. And so yeah, so we'll have to see. But if it is in it, that would be a pretty cool scene, right? So yeah. So anyways, Whisperers watching them, and we already got a little bit of a hint at this, though, to be fair, in I believe it was episode 7. Do you remember that where Magna's group, the one woman, kind of looks into the forest from the wagon, and she's like, she feels like someone's watching them. I don't remember her character name. But yeah, and then they switch to the perspective of kind of the wagon, going forward, and then the camera kind of shakes a little bit in that. So I'm not sure if that was a little bit kind of like an Easter egg or something like that. Or that was intentional. I don't know. But that's kind of cool. So anyways, I thought this was, a great teaser. I'm expecting a full-length trailer for the second half coming pretty soon. If not, maybe in the next week, right?
Yeah, I think this Sunday. I think it'll be 4 weeks until it premieres, so I'd assume very soon.
Yeah, so hopefully maybe this Sunday maybe even they release it. So we'll have to see. Of course, we kind of have like that on the next episode teaser. That was released like way back, right when the mid-season ended. But I'm expecting kind of like a 1 to 2 minute trailer of the second half. So anyways, really great stuff there with the teaser. So then secondly, AMC, and they, by the way, they released a bunch of stuff this week. We had another teaser then about a bunch of Whisperers were kind of walking alone in the forest, and then one of them turns around. What else did we have? We had a Michonne kind of poster GIF kind of thing. What are all the other ones I've seen? Like, they just released a whole lot of art and a whole lot of stuff this week for the upcoming season. And that was kind of my guess that they would do something like that in the new year, because we didn't see much before, the 2019 started. So then the second thing then that they released that I want to discuss is the brand new Season 9 second half poster. And so this, I think this is going to be kind of like their official poster for the second half. So here we go. So I just want to show that here now on the screen. And I showed you this one beforehand too. I think it's great. You have The Walking Dead up there at the top. Of course, February 10th, the return date. And then you have Daryl, Carol, and Michonne right in kind of the forefront of it. And then, of course, in the background, the Whispers are kind of lurking. And it kind of really dark and misty as well. So that is the second half poster that AMC released. Really great. What are your thoughts on that one?
I like it. It does kind of look like someone just grabbed some old photos of Daryl, Michonne, and Carol and photos, dropped them in there. It probably took 5 minutes. But I do like that they put in the Whisper shadows in the background. That's very cool.
Yeah.
And did you see that Ryan Hurst retweeted the poster and was like, nice sword with the eyeball emojis?
Oh, he did, yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if Beta's gonna like steal Michonne's sword or something like that.
Oof. Well, we have seen in the teaser that Daryl and him kind of fight with a couple blades there, right? With the knives. And I think that's a big part of Beta's character in the comics too. Damn, that'd be interesting. Imagine Michonne without her katana.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of crazy, but yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. I think it's not the most elaborate thing.
Yeah, I like the other poster with when they like jumped forward where they had like Judith front and center. I like that poster a lot more.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like that one a lot. It kind of looked, what was it kind of similar to? The Lord of the Rings or something, or The Hobbit?
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings, the Infinity War poster, stuff like that.
Infinity War 2, yeah. Yeah, because I think people on Twitter posted kind of like a side-by-side, and it looked a lot like that. But yeah, no, that one was good too. Yeah, I just kind of like this one. It also reminded me too of like where the show's going with Daryl, Carol, and Michonne being our leaders now.
Yeah.
Right? Because this show's, forever changed, right? Because Rick's gone. And so it's interesting. Like you said with that poster about Judith, she was kind of in the front now. But it looks like in the second half here, we're going to see Daryl, Michonne, and Carol be the leads rather than...
Yeah. I'm starting to think Judith isn't going to play a huge part in the Whisperer storyline.
Yeah, and I talked about that a little last week too, and I think you might be right, which is unfortunate. I mean, both of us kind of agree that we'd like to see more of her, right? Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is. I'd rather her... it'd be tough to do, but I'd rather her than Henry, to be honest, right? I mean... yeah, it's disappointing a little bit. But anyways, so yeah, it was great to see there Michonne, Carol, and Daryl, and returns February 10th, of course. I'm expecting, like we talked about last week, Shane, the AMC advertisements and all this stuff. The Walking Dead returns February 10th. And all those types of things coming back, in the next week or so, probably to get things ready. So, anyways, that is the poster then for the second half of season 9. There you go. So, and I'm sure though, like we said, trailer will probably be coming out. We'll probably see more art about the Whisperers. They're sure advertising the Whisperers a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I mean, a lot. And the thing that I don't understand too is like, The Walking Dead, especially on their Twitter and social media and stuff, Facebook too, they were, they're kind of advertising this as like a whole new thing, like nobody knows about the Whisperers.
Yeah.
But a lot of comic book fans know exactly about, what's coming with the Whisperers.
Yeah. Unless they take in a completely different direction, which they could, but I don't know.
It's true. That's true. Or at least just kind of, not necessarily storyline, but just the way that the Whispers operate and what they can do.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. So yeah, it's just kind of interesting, and they're using that a lot for a base of advertising. I in my memory, I don't remember this much like advertising, teasers, and trailers for any other season.
Yeah, I don't remember. So no, I don't think so.
Because I think like season 8 they did some stuff with Negan, but that was just about the extent of it. But anyways, so really cool stuff. All right, so the next thing I thought we'd talk about is Negan's storyline in season 9. And so this is something that we will visit then from, of course, the finale, but then also in the teaser we see kind of where he ends up, right at the very end, where he's back at the sanctuary. So where are you thinking that he will go just immediately, right, if he ends up there at the sanctuary? And then where do you think his character is going to go in this season 9?
I kind of almost want to say he'll follow a similar path that he did in the comic books, where he actually joins the Whisperers for a little while for his own benefit and for the good guys' benefit. I almost feel like, because there's no more saviors, like Carol killed them all, so it's not like he's going to walk back in and be praised and have a new army again, so...
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's what we talked about Dwight. What if Dwight kind of showed up there when he goes back to the sanctuary?
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
That would have been cool, but yeah. And there was also there was also another thing that came out about Dwight, how he can't return to the original series anyways right now, because of the lawsuits that's going on.
Oh, yeah.
With the stuntman who passed away on set.
Mm-hmm.
And so apparently like he's involved in a lawsuit, so he can't even return to the show until that's settled or decided on. So so yeah, we probably won't see him at least until season 10. He'll probably be on Fear. But anyways, so for Negan, I mean, I think you're right. I think he will kind of go through a big transformation here. For those people out there who were thinking, oh, Negan's done, right? We'll just put him in a cell. I think that's changing real quick. He's gonna get a kind of a lot of focus here, especially with Rick gone in the show. I think it means even more focus for him now. So, anyways, I think you're right. I think obviously they're gonna follow the comics pretty closely here with this whole Whisperer storyline, or at least it's looking that way. So I would agree that Negan probably joins the Whisperers. Right, probably goes towards them, or at least kind of makes contact with them, and then I would see maybe then by the end of season 9 in the finale, he kind of makes a decision then to turn on them.
Okay.
Or something like that we might see. It also depends on when this Whisperer War will start, right?
Yeah.
When they decide to like start this fighting, and so we'll have to see how that goes too. But anyways. I think there's a lot of focus for him, and we're going to have to see how far he goes. This goes back talking about Judith. I mean, I'd love to see more scenes with him and Judith in there. That one scene that we got, maybe like the only one in the whole show, which is unfortunate. But anyways, we'll have to see. But it is interesting. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, where do you think, because he just escaped the cell, right?
Yeah.
So, like, where do you think he's going from there, from the cell?
Well, we saw him walk into the old Savior compound. I don't know, to be honest. I'm not really sure where they're going to have him go next.
That's because in the sneak peek, I think, for like that I saw on Talking Dead, back when the mid-season finale was on, they showed a little bit of a part with him, like, still at Alexandria, where he picks up, like, a shovel or something like that. I'm not sure if that was ever released on AMC or anything. But, so, I mean, that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, like, is he out for vengeance? Like, do you think he tries to, like, attack some Alexandrians before he gets out of there?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe maybe that's just for, like, self-protection. Like, if they come after him, I'm sure he'll smack someone with a shovel, but I think he's just going around knocking heads.
No more Lucille.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, he'll probably go looking for that. Right, that'll probably be the first thing. The first thing he does is going to find Lucille, which is interesting. I wonder, because in that one scene that we got, I think it was Michonne, right? And she's like, "Yeah, Lucille's out there. We just left Lucille there." Do you think that was a lie, or do you think that was actually truthful? Like, do you think Lucille's just somewhere out there?
It's probably out there. I don't see them like anyone really wanting that, so I'm sure they just left it wherever they. Maybe at the tree where they stopped Negan, I'm not sure. Yeah.
That's, I think, the last place we saw it as viewers.
Yeah.
So maybe he's going to go back to there. I don't know. That's going to be interesting. But in that little clip that we got of him back in the Sanctuary, it looks like he's holding something. So I'm not sure if that is Lucille, a new Lucille. I don't know. And I don't even know if it's a bat. I can't really tell, because it's kind of blurred with the TWD letters. It's kind of like cut off a bit. So they made sure not to be too detailed with it to spoil anything for us, but
Yeah.
So okay. So that's Negan. We'll have to see where he goes in season 9. But that'll be interesting. So, next thing I want to talk about is the TV series catching up to the comic books. So this was something that came up in the news last week a little bit, with an article coming out that the AMC, I think it was the president, came out and said, we want to keep The Walking Dead going for years, essentially, like past, we're talking like season 12, getting to that place. So my question is then, if the series lasts to a season 12 or beyond that, like the creators are saying it will, right? Will it come close to passing the comic books?
It just depends on how fast they tell the stories in the show. Like, they took forever to tell the Negan story, so if they do that with the Whisperers, which I hope they don't, the comics are still going, so they might never catch up. But if, like, by the end of the mid-season of season 10, if this is over, then the next thing, they might catch up sooner than later.
Yeah, it's tough to like because in the past, they like you said they took a long time to tell the whole Negan and Saviors thing. But then also if you think back to like season 5 where they came up with that whole Beth storyline in the hospital, you remember that?
Yeah.
Um, and that was kind of a big thing. That wasn't in the comic books pretty much at all.
Yeah.
So I wonder then if they're gonna do more of that, especially if they don't choose to extend the Whisperer storyline. I wonder if they're going to do more of that then to kind of let them kind of go with the comics. I mean, I think this is a question like ever since season 1 that people have asked, you know, are they going to catch with the comic books? But, you know, it's interesting. In your opinion, though, if they do catch up and they do maybe even surpass, do you think that's a good or a bad thing for the series?
It just depends on how creative the writers want to get. Like, I could argue Game of Thrones got better after they passed the book, so we'll just kind of just have to wait and see what the writers have in store.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, and it's really a totally different approach then for the writers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, going from, you know, kind of adapting, it's more just totally original stuff. Of course, they still have, like, the main characters, the main themes that they could still go on with. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I think in the past, I would argue that the show has been kind of worse when they've kind of, you know, separated from the comics. Like I just mentioned, like the Beth in the hospital thing. That wasn't my favorite. And that's maybe the biggest, like, change from the comics. But again, it's different writers now. I mean, Angela Kang's in charge of it, so you know maybe that's a different situation. I think I mean, the All Out War thing. I think they followed it pretty damn close to the comic books there. I'm trying to think of other times when they've kind of when they've separated. I think a lot of season 2 was kind of separated. I think because Shane died way earlier on, right?
Yeah.
In the comic
in the comics, I think I don't even know Michonne and I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. Stickman. He just went to Fear the Walking Dead.
Morgan, yeah.
Morgan. Yeah. Like they had a relationship in the comic book. She never really got with Rick, so they have changed some stuff to work out for the better. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. There has been good things as well. But yeah, I would say probably. Oh, I didn't even think of this one. Carl dying. That's probably.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's probably one of the worst ones.
I'm not quite sure if it was for the better or the worse yet, but that was a big one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be for the worst when we see Henry.
Yeah, true.
Kind of playing out here with Lydia and how that all works, but yeah, that's so unfortunate. But anyways, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, if they want to keep this series going, you know, we're talking even like past season 12. You know, we're gonna have to see. But I mean, in a sense, I mean they've kind of rebooted the show now with season 9 with this huge time skip. Well, especially after Rick's episode 2. So maybe that does mean that this is kind of like a new chapter of the show, in a sense, and maybe we'll see going forward this kind of new chapter. Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, what? Like, in your mind, like, what do you think is possible for the series? Like, how far do you think it could go?
If you asked me last year, I kept saying that like 10 seasons and end it. But now that I really like this year and the last half of last year, I could see 12 seasons. I don't know if I want it to go to like season 20, but I could see 12, 13 seasons.
Yeah.
As long as Angela Kang stays on, I'll watch. But if she leaves, then I'll start having doubts.
It's true. It's true. Because right now in the comic books, they're pretty much at the Commonwealth, which is kind of like the next big storyline after the Whisperers. And I'm not sure. Like they haven't really sprinkled in anything else right now than the Commonwealth. That's kind of like the huge focus. So I'm not sure. I mean, obviously, you know, 3 years down the road, they'll have another storyline. Robert Kirkman will come up with something. But I think ultimately, especially the way the Commonwealth are designed, a lot of people are kind of speculating that may actually be kind of like the end of this story. Just the way that the whole like community is, and it, you know, with all the people, the thousands of people living there and just kind of the whole new civilization. They basically built a whole new world with this Commonwealth group, and that's kind of what the show has been always going for, right? And building that new world and the civilization. So I'm wondering if maybe they get to that Commonwealth part in the TV series, and then they decide to maybe end off on something like that. I mean, to me, that would make sense. But yeah, we'll have to see. I don't know. I mean, it also depends on how they treat this whole universe thing. Like, if they want to do a bunch of other spin-offs, and stuff like that.
I can see the spin-offs keeping going, but I don't know about the main show.
Yeah. Well, because when they first came out, right, they said they wanted to keep going for a decade. So, and that was from last year. So that means, like, 2028, we're still going to be seeing Walking Dead stuff.
I don't know if I want to watch 2028 Walking Dead.
Yeah. That's a good point. I don't know.
I mean, eventually, like Michonne and Daryl and Carol, they'll all eventually want to leave, I'm sure. So, like, you'll run out of likable characters somewhere down the road.
That's true. Yeah.
You'll be stuck with Henry, and that's about it.
I feel like Norman Reedus would stay pretty much until the end. But we're gonna talk about Denai in just like a couple minutes. But I don't think she's gonna be even around for much longer, in my opinion.
I don't either.
Yeah, and then Millicent Bride, I don't know. She hasn't done a lot of stuff before The Walking Dead, so I'm not sure if she would do anything much after. So she might stay. I think if you kept Norman Reedus and then kept him as kind of like the new Rick for the next few seasons, I think that could work if you get rid of the other two.
If Daryl's there, I'll stay, but if it turned to the Henry hour, I'm out.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's what was so dumb about the Carl thing, because it could be then his show now. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I'd watch Chandler Riggs. I'm not watching this other guy.
Exactly. And I would argue, I mean, Chandler Riggs, a bunch of people, say what you want about his acting in earlier seasons, right? He wasn't the best. But I think in season 8, he really kind of hit his stride. I think he got a lot better. So I think he could carry the show. But yeah, unfortunately, not around. Scott Gimple came on.
The end of season 10's big twist will be that he was hiding under a dumpster for the past 3 years, and he's fine.
That's still the biggest meme for The Walking Dead. Honestly, it is. That is so ridiculous. Oh man. Yeah, that's tough. But anyways, so we'll have to see how the series goes in the next few years. But it is something interesting to think about. And that's what I'm wondering too, especially like after the Whisperer arc is over. I think I could see them for like a half a season putting in some like original stuff that had nothing to do with the comics, just to kind of delay the Commonwealth then, which would be kind of the next thing. Just to kind of like, give them more time to write. And get that developed. So we'll have to see. They've already introduced Georgie though, and that whole thing. And a lot of people think that she is the Commonwealth. And Maggie's there now. So yeah, I don't know how that's all gonna come into play. I don't know when the hell we'll see Maggie again.
It just depends on how well Whiskey Cavalier does, I guess. Yeah,
and it's coming February 27th, I believe. The pilot. So, and I believe, do you know when, so network shows, so let's say like a pilot's coming out, like that means they're still filming episodes, right? Typically?
Yeah, I'd have to assume they're still filming. It just depends though. Like if they shot it like a while ago and it just took a while to find the right spot to put it on TV, then they might be done, but I doubt it.
That's true, yeah. Well, and my whole thing too is like, so let's say Whiskey Cavalier comes on, it's successful, and then ABC orders it for a full season, right? And so like they add 9 more episodes. So that means they have to go back and shoot that.
Yeah.
Right? They have to go back and shoot those 9 episodes, which is, takes, 2 or 3 months probably, at least to film 9 more. So that would complicate things a lot for Maggie's return then, even in season 10. But anyways, we'll have to see. I mean, the show could do really bad too, get canceled or something, and then she's just back. But I don't know. It's a tough balance there because, I want Lauren Cohan to do well. I want the show to do well. But I also want to see her back in The Walking Dead. So it's kind of tough there. But anyways, all right. So the next thing I want to talk about then is Denai Guerrera. So you mentioned this to me too. I think it was last week and before. That she's got a lot of stuff coming up.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff coming up, right? So Black Panther 2, right? The sequel to it.
Yeah.
Adventures Endgame. They're already done filming that though, right?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they might be still doing like pickup shots, but they're basically done. She's
Okay.
probably done. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's probably done with Endgame. And then, do you know any other ones that
She's
she's in?
in. Well, she's definitely in Godzilla versus King Kong. That comes out next
That's
May.
true. Yep.
I think it starts shooting real quick, or might have already shot. I'm not sure.
Mm.
And then if Star Trek 4 happens, she's in that, but it's rumored to be might be canceled. So who knows?
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, about the
Yeah.
cancellation. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll have to see. I mean, she now with joining the whole Marvel universe. I mean, all these actors who join the Marvel universe like automatically pretty much sign up for 2 or 3 movies, right? If
Yeah,
even
10
if
years of their life, basically. Yeah.
yeah, even if they're just like in one little role to begin with, and then they're in 10 movies, like you said. So,
Yeah.
so I have to see what happens with her in Black Panther and moving forward, and then also like in other things too.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I think so far with at least the second half of season 9, like immediately I think it's fine because I think she'll be in quite a lot of it because they probably, I mean, they filmed this probably back in the summer of 2018, right? Around
Yeah.
there, like sometime around there. So I wonder then if season 9 second half is maybe the most we'll see of Michonne until, who knows, right? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
into season 10.
Yeah, I don't think she'll leave yet, at least, but
Yeah.
I do think she'll take like a reduced role.
Yeah, which is really tough to imagine right now because
Yeah.
they've kind of set her up as like the lead of Alexandria, right? And
Yeah.
and of course they play a huge part in what's coming up the Whispers. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But I mean, people talk about Aaron taking Rick's role as well. I mean, Michonne could even take Rick's role from the comics because Rick doesn't do all that much in the Whisperer War.
That's true.
So maybe she could get his role instead. But that just I would hate missing out on seeing her against the Whispers,
Yeah.
That'd be so unfortunate, but I mean, I don't know, maybe there's a way for her to manage all these other things with The Walking Dead. I just don't want to see another Maggie thing with her,
Yeah.
like a Lauren Cohan situation.
Yeah. Especially because she has 2 kids. Like, what happens to the kids if she just dips off the show?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true now. Yeah, what RJ is the
Yeah.
new one?
Rick Jr. and
Rick
Judith,
Jr. Yeah, and then Judith. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that would actually be kind of well. I mean, Maggie had a baby, but the baby went with her. But
Yeah.
you can't really have Judith leave though.
Yeah, Judith can't go anywhere. So.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So we'll have to see how Michonne's role is affected going forward. But yeah, I just don't want to see another kind of Lauren Cohan situation with that. It's still crazy to think about. Like, so that means that Maggie probably won't play much of a role, or if any role, in the Whisperers. Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't think Maggie will play any role in the Whisper War, to be honest.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. It's interesting those two because I think you and I talked about this like back with another episode where we said we both heard that she was in 6 episodes, right, of season 9, and she's now only in 5. So I still wonder if she filmed for another episode or something like that, or maybe that was just kind of like a false report or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting if we see her, make a little bit of a cameo maybe in one of these episodes.
Yeah. Possibly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you kind of have to trace back to when they shot this second half, and then when she started shooting Whiskey Cavalier and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. But anyways, yeah. So we'll have to see how Michonne fares. But I think Daryl and Carol are definitely in it for the long haul. Going forward, I think they're both getting pretty good parts. And there's a lot of stuff about Michonne like leaving even before All Out War though. about Denai Greer, like pretty much right when she started in Black Panther.
Yeah.
A bunch of people were saying that she'd leave the show and whatever. And also, it's important to note too that she just signed a 3-year deal with The Walking Dead, a 3-year contract. I don't believe she had the same clause as the other two. Like Melissa McBride and Norman Reedus, they had a thing in their contract where they could appear in any of the universe stuff. So they could be in the movies, the original series, Fear, I guess, or, you know, other stuff. But I don't think she had that in her contract. So it's going to be interesting then to see what happens. But I don't think that she would sign a 3-year deal without without being confident that she could still be in the show, right?
Yeah.
For 3 years. Which makes it really messy if she's signing, a deal for Black Panther 2 and then a deal with The Walking Dead and all this, because she's committing to the roles and she's got to do it. So, anyways, it's great to see her being successful though. At the end of the day, and I've heard she's great in Black Panther, right?
Yeah, she's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's great. You see this with like pretty much every Walking Dead star though. Honestly. Like, you talk about John Bernthal, Stephen Yeun, we talked about earlier. I mean, everyone that leaves or is everyone that's involved with the show ends up getting, really great roles and doing great after The Walking Dead, too. Like, pretty much everyone. I mean, except for maybe Andrew Lincoln, but he literally could not do anything else until now.
Yeah.
And I assume that he'll just be probably taking a break. And, of course, working on the movies, so...
Yeah.
Anyways, so, yeah. Alright, so that just about wraps up the topics, and then we'll conclude off with this for this episode, which is question of the week, tackling, just not necessarily having to do with the news topics that we talked about, but just kind of an interesting question to leave things off. So, here we go as question of the week. By the end of 2019, where do you see the Walking Dead universe? So not just the original series, but the universe. Where do you see that at the end of the year?
I don't know. I don't think
it's a loaded question, but
I don't think we'll see any of the movies. I don't even think we'll see a trailer for any of the movies. We could see Fear the Walking Dead get canceled by the end of 2019. That could be a possibility.
I'm kind of hoping, but...
I think we'll see an announcement of another side project, whether it's other movies or an overseas TV show. I think we'll see another announcement for something else. And I think we will see the end of The Whisperers by the end of 2019.
End of The Whisperers. All right. All right. I think I don't think we'll see a movie. I think the earliest we could probably see one is January of 2020. Maybe or at least just a trailer, like maybe not even necessarily the movie. Because we'll see. I mean, they're not even starting production. I mean, Scott Gimble's still writing the script, for the movie. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, so should be interesting stuff. See where the Walking Dead universe goes. I mean, we'll have to see how season 10, how they decide to do that one. If the Whisperer War will end in that time frame, because that'll be the end of the year. And talking about another spin-off probably. We'll hear probably something like that, like you said. And yeah, a lot of great stuff coming in 2019 though for The Walking Dead. And Fear, yeah, I hope it gets canceled, but we'll have to see with that one. I have a feeling that they're gonna get another season for some reason. But anyways, all right. So we'll just wrap it up there for this one. So thank you guys for watching Walker Talk episode 4. Should be back with Shane next week for episode 5. Should be back on the schedule here. Might be moving it to Thursdays, but should be Friday, Thursday in the next couple weeks. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this stuff here. All the topics that we talked about, especially the question of the week. Really great stuff. So thanks, Shane, for joining me again. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, guys.